everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MJS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you, and to those who haven't yet, I really hope you do. Just completed my 38th year coaching football. I was a defensive coordinator, but over that time, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. What I'd like to talk to you about here in this presentation is an introduction to what we call the field boundary blitz concept. It's only ball in the hash, okay, which makes it unique. And so this is out of our base package as well, okay? So non-subscribers, hit the button so you know what all that means, all right? So what I have over here are the key terms, and I'm not planning on diagramming any of the blitzes specifically. I just want to give you the overall concept behind our field boundary blitz, okay? And it brings in our 4 base blitz families, okay? So the first concept is ball in the hash. Why ball in the hash only? Well, it's a definitive landmark, okay? So up here I have ball on the left hash, big field, so that would be the field concept. And on the bottom, ball in the same hash, over here would be the boundary concept, right? Short side of the field. So, theoretically you could do this in between, but I've always decided that ball on the hash is as definitive a landmark as I can give our players, so they know right away when I signal this that it's coming from the field, or when I just point to the ground before anything else, they know it's a boundary concept. So field boundary. And then from there we give them the signals as to one of the 4 blitzes, all right? The field concept. That means the blitz is coming from the big field. Okay, so in this case, the ball's on the left hash. When you're on defense, that's how you look at it. The big field is to the right. So that means the blitz is coming from the right. Okay? And so what that will bring in is the following. Our field boundary concept is predicated on, so let's skip down to the philosophy right now. Who's available to blitz and cover? Based on the number of wide receivers in the formation. And what that's predicated on is those 4 base families. So the 4 base families are plug, go, combo, and dog. So now again, non-subscribers, hit the button, right? So you can get all of this. But we have one simple rule based upon the wide receivers that will dictate who's blitzing, executing the plug, the go, the combo, and the dog is going to be the same based upon the wide receiver. So I'm going to show you all of that. That's why it needs to be that simple, okay, that clear cut. So we have big field when there's 1 wide receiver, and we'll specify how we know what a wide receiver is. It's going to be the safety. 2 wide receivers, it's the outside linebacker. 3 wide receivers, it becomes the inside linebacker. And that's for all 4. Plug, go, combo, and dog. Okay, making it simple so our kids can play fast up here, therefore execute playing fast with their feet. All right? Flip side, the boundary concept means the blitz is coming from the boundary or the short side of the field, right? So now when there's 1 wide receiver, it's the corner. Big field, it's the safety. But now watch the simplicity. 2 wide receivers, it's still the outside linebacker, and 3 wide receivers, it's still the inside linebacker. So there's only one difference as to who's blitzing in the field concept and the boundary concept, and that's dictated by 1 wide receiver. And again, that's all 4 families, plug, go, combo, and dog. Okay? So the only difference when it comes to how do you determine a wide receiver is big field, it's got to be 5+ yards outside either the tackle or the tight end. So if there's no tight end, it's 5 yards or more from the tackle. If there's a tight end, it's 5 yards or more from the tight end. Okay? Whereas in the boundary, because the field is reduced, we close it to 2 yards or more. So as you can see here, it's a tight end, so 2 or more yards from the tight end. If there was no tight end, like up here, it would be 2 or more yards from the tackle. Okay? So that determines who's available to blitz and cover. Okay, so I'm going to bring that in with you without diagramming specific blitzes as we get further into this presentation. So, ultimately, okay, in this particular instance, this is 11 personnel, okay? But even if it were 10, right? Or it was 21 or 20, etc., okay? It's going to be the safety to the big field. So the code name for the free is Fresno. The code name for the mic, non-subscribers, right? And you see the combo and the dog, it's Michigan. And for the rover, it's Reno. Okay? So what I will add is the backer is Buffalo. The dime is Daytona. And down here I have the corner is Colorado. All right? So because ball has to be on the hash, the whip is always on the hash. So therefore, the whip will never blitz. The field corner will never blitz. So the only available blitzers are the free, the rover, the mic, the back of the dime, and the boundary, who's Colorado for corner. Okay? With me so far? All right. So now, right, field blitzes. We use the letter F for each name of a blitz. So Firestone is the plug, Florida is the go, Field is the combo, and Falcon is the dog. So in this case, ball's on the left hash. When I signal we're going big field, the kids would automatically scream Ringo in this case. Down here, if I signal was going into the boundary, they would be calling, I should say, Lucky in this case, because they know which way it's going. Right? If the ball were on the other hash, you'd flip it. Ringo is Blitz's right, Lucky is Blitz's left. All right? So the key to this whole thing, as is illustrated up here, ball's on the left hash. There is one wide receiver to the big field, right? So for any of the blitzes called, right, one wide receiver, the free safety is available to blitz. He can execute the plug. He can execute the go, the combo, and the dog. And he's available to cover. He's available to cover. He's available to cover. All of these guys are available to cover. And that's the simplicity of it. Flip side, same ball in the hash. Now there's one wide receiver into the boundary, right? I signal we're coming from the boundary. All 4 blitzes, Bridgestone, Browns, Baltimore, and Blackbird, they all begin with a B, would be executed by the corner because it's a short field. To us, big field, a corner executing it, it's too much ground to cover. Safety's available. He's in a better position. Ball's into the boundary, short side of the field, corner's in the best position. He's available, and this safety can cover it up. He's available to cover. Okay? So that's how we do it. And that's what it's based upon. How can we simplistically have the same defender to the big field when there's one wide receiver be the person to execute each of the 4 base family blitzes, which are plug, go, combo, and dog? And then the flip side, when it's from the boundary, how can we have one defender execute the plug, go, combo, and dog versus one wide receiver, and it's the corner. And then out of simplicity, whether it's big field or whether it's boundary, right? Two wide receivers, it's going to be the outside linebacker. I don't want to make it messy and draw up, change the formation. Okay, up there. But up here, right, if this were to be a field, he's the outside linebacker. He's screaming Daytona. He's available because he can screw down and cover up too. He's available to cover. He can rotate. Everybody's available to cover. He's available to blitz. Not just both. The plug, the go, the combo, and the dog. He's available. So what you have to do to teach your guys the field boundary concept is make sure they can recognize how many wide receivers there are. I mean, it's that simple. We've done this in meetings, walkthroughs, and practice. Have segments with just lining up with the ball on the left hash today. It's all left hash. And practicing field and boundary from the left hash. Just showing different formations so our kids can recognize how many wide receivers there are so they can designate who the blitzer is. Okay? So in order to do that, you have to be able to teach the plug, go, combo, and dog families first before you start installing your field boundary concept. Okay? So what I have done, depending on the group of kids I have, how experienced they are, we teach our base single plugs the first day, right? Goes the second day. I have started to introduce the field boundary concept. However, when it's one wide receiver, it's the safety. Well, that doesn't go in the first day, so that hasn't necessarily worked out all the time. So I've learned through years of experience, right? Just completed my 38th year, that we introduced the field boundary concept later, either in spring or preseason. Because then once it's in, it's in. So then why would you run a field or a boundary blitz? You've got to break it down in your huddle, right? 8 teams based upon their personnel, and 11 personnel when ball's in the hash. What are their big field tendencies versus what are their boundary tendencies? We're not just talking triple option teams. All teams have big field and short field or boundary tendencies. So every single game I've gone into, I've always had a field boundary part of the game plan. Sometimes it's a little bigger than others, but it's been a part of the game plan. Okay, so you introduce your base families, plug, go, combo, and dog first. You make sure your kids can recognize how many wide receivers there are, and then you start to introduce one wide receiver, 2, and 3. And the way we do it, we introduce Firestone and Bridgestone together versus one wide receiver. The next day, it's Firestone, Bridgestone versus 2. The next day, Firestone, Bridgestone versus 3. And then once you've done that, now you can go Florida Browns versus 1, 2, and 3. You see how this works? You can go field Baltimore, 1, 2, and 3. Falcon, Blackbird, 1, 2, and 3. So, translation, we can take the last roughly 6 to 7 days of either spring, not as likely, but definitely preseason, and we can have our field boundary in so it's there for the season. Okay? So as I said at the beginning to my subscribers, I thank you, and hopefully I've made enough of a point. Non-subscribers, push the button, right? It doesn't cost anything. But to everybody, I hope you reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com. It's starting to happen, and when it does, I'm learning a ton, which is the point and the hope that we help each other, because I love to talk football and I love to continue to learn. So please reach out and ask me some questions.